Hi, I'm Paulette Lambert. I'm in the Wellness Kitchen at the California Health and Longevity Institute. Today we're going to be making 3 great party foods. We're going to do hummus with pita chips, a wonderful edamame dip, and roasted garbanzo beans. You know, all 3 of these recipes use beans, which is a great source of protein, fiber, and calcium. Quick, easy, and delicious too. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with garbanzo beans, and we're going to be making a homemade hummus with some pita chips. And then we're going to go on to making an edamame dip as well. So let's start with our garbanzo beans. Beans are the most near perfect food, and you can use canned beans, very convenient. Just make sure when you open the can that you rinse and drain them, and that's what I have in the bowl here, rinsed and drained beans. They're really nutrition packed. Beans are high in protein, high in fiber, high in calcium and iron. And beans, because of the fiber content, can actually lower your cholesterol. So this is a really great food to eat a lot of. When we say they're the near perfect food, it's also very good for the environment. Beans have as much protein as animal protein does, and again, very inexpensive protein. So let's get started on our dip. So what I have here is 2 cups of garbanzo beans that we rinsed and drained. And I'm going to put them in the food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can also just use your blender. And then I'm going to add the juice of 2 lemons, and that's about 4 tablespoons of lemon juice to give it some great taste. We're just going to squeeze that right in there. And that's our lemon. And the next thing we're going to add is a little tahina. And tahina is sesame seed paste. And this is available at your grocery store, like in the ethnic food section, kind of like peanut butter, but it's made out of sesame seeds. The fat in this is really good for you. It's one of those fats that are high in omega-3. It's a seed in a nut, and that stops inflammation in the body. So this is good. Everything that goes in this recipe is delicious and good. And then we're going to add a tablespoon, only a tablespoon of olive oil. And usually in the commercial recipes, there's about a half a cup of olive oil. So this is going to be a lot less calories. And then we're going to add our teaspoon of garlic. And we're going to add a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And you can add more if you like it spicy. We like a little kick to this, but not too much. And then we're going to add just a half a teaspoon of sea salt. And then we're just going to, oh, most important, onion, and we're going to just cut that in a little bit small pieces because it's all going to whip up together. You don't need to chop it. So we have about 1/4 of a red onion here, and then I have about a couple tablespoons of some reserved liquid that the canned beans were in. It's going to be a little dry, and by adding back some of that reserved liquid, it fluffs it up and makes it much lighter. And that is all of our ingredients. Let's turn this on for a minute or so. Now you want to whip it long enough to really get it nice and fluffy. Some people like it chunky. I happen to like it very smooth and fluffy. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, there it is. This is nice and smooth and fluffy. And again, this is personal preference. Some people may like it chunkier. I happen to like it very light and fluffy with not a lot of chunks in it. So that's good. Isn't that simple? It's so simple to make and so good for you. Again, beans are vegetarian protein without any saturated fat, so this is why it's such good quality protein in our diets. It really helps prevent heart disease. And again, the fiber content is so good for our bodies. And I would really suggest that you keep cans of beans in your pantry for a lot of different things, to be added to soups, to be used in something like this. And again, we're going to serve this with our baked pita chips and raw crudité, but you also can take a scoop of this and put it on wheat bread with sliced tomatoes and make a sandwich out of it. A total vegetarian meal, inexpensive and delicious. Now that we have our hummus made, let's go ahead and make our pita chips. What I have here is whole grain pita bread, and we're going to cut this just in eighths. So just cut that right in half. What's great about these chips is we can control the amount of oil. We're going to just brush them or spray them lightly with an organic olive oil spray, so we can keep the fat content very low but get a great crisp tasting chip. And again, try to use the whole grain to increase the fiber in your diet. And you want to pull them apart like this because otherwise they're going to be too thick and they don't get that crispy. So just take them and open them up, and that's pulling them apart, and just lay them right on your sheet here. Okay, I think that's good. And what I have is organic olive oil spray, And I'm just going to do a light spray, not too much. By adding that thin layer of fat on the pita chips, that thin layer of olive oil, it's going to allow them to get really crispy. But we're not soaking them in a vat of oil where they'll soak up a lot of fat. So that was very few calories worth of olive oil. And then just a pinch of sea salt, not too much. We don't need too much sodium in our diets, but a little bit for flavor. And we have our pita chips on our tray with a sheet of parchment paper. And the reason I'm using parchment paper is that it's environmentally very friendly, and it allows us nothing to stick, and it makes real easy cleanup. You can also use foil if you don't have that. And I'm going to pop these in the oven at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes, just till they're crisp and golden. I'm going to show you one more snack that you can do with a can of garbanzo beans. It's so simple and so easy. We're going to make roasted garbanzo beans. So again, I have my can of rinsed and drained garbanzo beans. Put them in the bowl. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil and 1 tablespoon of light soy sauce or tamari. We don't need to add any salt because the light soy sauce or tamari is salty enough. I'm going to just coat those beans with that. And you can put a pinch of pepper or cayenne pepper if you like to make them spicy. I'm going to just put a pinch of black pepper here to get a little more flavor. Again, I have my baking sheet here with my parchment paper, and that makes it not stick and real easy for cleanup, which I'm into, and I'm sure everybody else is too. And we just put our garbanzo beans on here and spread them out, and we're going to roast those. Now the benefits of eating these, we get all the vitamins, all the antioxidants, all the fiber, the protein, everything that's good about beans, a lot less calories. If we had a half a cup of peanuts, it'd be about 400 calories. A half a cup of roasted garbanzo beans is only about 150. So talk about a low calorie, healthy snack. This is it, and very inexpensive. So again, we're going to put these in the oven at about 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes until they're brown and really crispy. The next dip that we're going to do is we're going to do an edamame dip. Very similar to guacamole, same color, but a little different taste, but a great texture. What we have here is frozen soybeans, edamame beans, and I'm sure we've all had those often in Japanese restaurants, and they're in the pods, and we eat them and pop them through your teeth. Well, they come in frozen bags that are already shelled like this. Great thing to keep in your freezer. You can add them to soups, you can add them to salads, and we're going to make a great dip. So let's get started on that. So I have 2 cups of edamame beans. Now what's great about edamame, it's a fresh soybean, so it's very high in what we call phytoestrogens. And phytoestrogens have lots of antioxidants that really have a lot of health promoting benefits. There is some concern by some women that eating soy may not be so good for us, especially midlife, but the new studies are showing that soy is safe if eaten in moderation, which is up to 2 servings a day. So we've got our soybeans. We have a half a cup of tofu. This is firm tofu. Comes in a box like this. You just open it up and drain it. And we're going to add a half a cup, and that's going to make this dip nice and silky and real creamy. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of chicken stock, and that's a reduced sodium fat-free chicken broth. And I'm going to add a tablespoon of garlic. And then we're going to add some fresh lemon to give this a lot of flavor. And by the way, 1/2 of a lemon is about 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And so when something calls for 2 tablespoons, you know you need a whole lemon. It's always kind of a good kitchen tip to remember. These are great squeezers. You just put it in here and you just squeeze, and it has a little strainer in the bottom so it lets the juice go out and not the seeds. And then we're just going to add a little bit, about a 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt, and about a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And that's it. And you can use your blender for this as well as your food processor. Works just as well. And let's blend this up to be nice and smooth. That should do it. Just be real careful with your food processor blade since we know they're so sharp. Looks just like guacamole. Beautiful green color, nice and spring looking. And again, think about that. You're eating a dip that tastes great, yet you're eating soy, which is so good for your body. And I suggest serving this with either baked chips or like a crudité, raw vegetables. And then I'm just gonna garnish this with some black sesame seeds. Makes it look gorgeous in the dish. And there we go. And that is our edamame dip. Isn't that beautiful? Well, we're done with our dips. We've got our baked pita chips, our homemade hummus, and our edamame dip and some crudité on a tray. And let's take a look at our roasted garbanzo beans. I think they're done. Nice and hot and crunchy. Let's see if we can get them off here. There we go. And I'm going to garnish them with just a little bit of fresh parsley just to give it a little bit of color. And there is our healthy appetizers, our roasted garbanzo beans, our hummus and our baked pita chips, our edamame dip, and our crudité. We're ready for a party. This is Paulette Lambert from the Wellness Kitchen, where everything's nutritious and always delicious.